Hey witches, welcome back to the channel. Once again, this is Hectarios, Witch of the Realms. So we're going to go ahead and do our Dark Moon, New Moon reading. If you didn't watch my last video on the whole slaying of the White Stag, I do recommend that you go back and watch that video because I feel like a lot of the themes and messages that I got with that are going to play into this as well. Into this reading, into this Dark Moon, and leading in towards Samhain. Definitely I recommend that you go watch that video. I mean, you guys know that I always talk about like the psychic energy, the psychic messages that I'm picking up on and getting at the beginning of these videos. I feel like that entire video could be the psychic message part of this video. So go watch that because I feel like that's definitely the themes that I'm getting at this time. So I'm not really going to get much into the psychic messages because, like I said, I already really discussed what I'm really feeling at this time in that video. So we're just going to go straight to the astrology. We have this dark moon, new moon occurring in Virgo. This is very interesting. This dark moon, new moon is occurring conjunct Mars. So we have Mars, the sun, and the moon all basically conjunct in Virgo. If you can see, Mercury is also there. Now Mercury just went into retrograde as well. Like the day after the whole White Stag event took place, Mercury went into retrograde. So that was another interesting thing that I forgot to mention in that White Stag video. That happened on September 26th and Mercury went into retrograde September 27th. That was another sort of interesting aspect that, once again, I feel like that was not a coincidence. I feel like this alignment is very interesting because it sort of really plays into what Mercury retrograde represents, which is sort of reviewing things, revisiting things, taking a look at things that we've sort of think we've already finished up with. I feel like that aspect of the Mercury retrograde, which happens every Mercury retrograde, is just more highlighted and more focused. The fact that it's occurring in Virgo, and Virgo is very much analytical, logical, and sort of is the master of sort of structuring things, organizing things, figuring things out, almost just like making things more efficient, coming up with better ways of doing things, finding the best way to accomplish things. So it's a very interesting and very potent Mercury retrograde, and I feel like this would be a great time for people to, you know, figure things out and make things work and find ways to, you know, make things work and figure things out that maybe you didn't notice before or weren't able to before. This whole alignment, this whole astrology aspect is offering us the opportunity to do that now. Okay, this retrograde ends on October 18th, from September 27th to October 18th. So during this time would be ideal for sort of discovering new ways of doing things, and especially, once again, with things that are already ongoing in your life. This is a time to revisit and re-look at things that you already have going on, that you're already involved with, that you're already engaged with, and find better ways of doing things. Like I said, because this is occurring in Virgo, I feel like that's what it's going to be about in particular. Making things more efficient, making things work better. The circumstances will be there to facilitate that and to help that to happen when they maybe weren't there before. So that's what I'm getting with that, with the astrology. So for this reading, we're going to go ahead and use the Lumina Tarot by Inner Hue again. I kind of just miss using this deck. And we're going to do a Fairy Oracle card as well at the end to finish up. Now I align myself with the Most High God and the Holy Spirit Hecate. Please communicate the truth to me through these cards so that I may be guided for the highest good of all. Thank you, and so let it be. Please give us your divine guidance for this dark moon, new moon, so that we can use these energies for our highest good, greatest success, and joy. Thank you, and so let it be. Big chills on that one. And no wonder, we have two major arcana. First we have the World card, and I've said this before, but I really love the World card in this deck. So beautiful, so simple yet so symbolic. So with the World card we have the energy of culmination, things coming full circle, reaching the end of something, and yet a new beginning as well. Because of that, anytime we come to an ending, it necessitates that something new is starting. And that plays in perfectly to what I was saying before in the White Stag video, the themes of rebirth and resurrection after death. Death is the resurrection. That very much plays into this, but with the World card, it's nothing so dire as death. So that's a little bit of a dramatic example, but like I was saying in the White Stag video, you know, there's many little deaths, there's many little endings, little destructions in our lives, or just endings. It doesn't have to be a negative thing, you know, some things just naturally come to an end, and it doesn't have to be anything dire or dramatic, but something new comes after, or something new comes out of that ending. And that's what we have with the World card as well. It's reaching this culmination point, reaching this end, reaching a goal, reaching this end point of pursuing something or working on something or doing something. What comes after that? That's what you should be thinking about when the World card shows up. What are you going to do after you reach that end point? Maybe you're already reaching that end point now with something. What are you going to do next? With the World card energy, it's almost saying like you've attained something, and also the rewards that come along with that attainment. And so you've almost set yourself up to do something even more, do something even greater with that success, or with the attainment of that goal. You can build something more out of that. You've created a foundation that you can build upon, something greater, something more. So what is that next thing going to be that you work towards? That's what we have with the World card. So there's a sense of achievement, a sense of being rewarded for that in some way, or just gaining something out of that experience in some way, and how that builds a new foundation for you to then go for something more that you wouldn't have been able to before, right? And that also sort of plays into the whole White Stag video, with that whole mythology of the White Stag leads you to something greater. Pursuing the White Stag in and of itself is a journey to something more. And sometimes that's how goals in life are. Sometimes you don't reach that goal that you originally set out for. However, the journey to it still takes you somewhere else. You still get something else out of it in some way. Even if you didn't reach the goal that you were going towards, you still gained something from the journey there that can set you up for something else, right? Or maybe you do reach the goal that you originally set out for, and that sets you up for something more. In either case, you're still, you know, advancing, right? And so the World card is just about what is your next thing going to be. It asks us to think about that. The next card is the High Priestess. I don't know why my camera's not focusing. I really love the depiction of this card as well in this deck, because it's like a reflection or a twin image of this High Priestess. And that's really a profound symbolism. We are all our own High Priest or High Priestess. That energy is within us. It's a reflection of our higher self that we all have. But the High Priestess is all about getting in touch with that aspect of ourselves, trusting our own inner voice, our own intuition, our own higher guidance, being able to discern our higher guidance and our intuition and listening to it, trusting it and letting it guide you in your life. So this is perfect to be as a follow-up to the World card, which is asking us to contemplate what comes next. The High Priestess shows up to say, listen to that inner voice, because that's going to be what guides you in whatever it is in, your life. The High Priestess is that part of ourselves that is in touch and in tune and knows, has a knowing about it. And that's how you know that really is the voice of your intuition. That really is your divine higher guidance. It's not something that you can really even question. I mean, you can if you choose to doubt yourself, but it's a sense of instinct and knowing something. And there's many ways that this higher guidance and higher intuition can communicate with you. It can come through a sense of knowing. It can come through an instinctual drive or pull towards some specific thing. It can come in our dreams or in some other sense of feeling or sensation or emotion that you get out of the blue that seems to be hinting at something or pointing towards something. And then of course we can also get messages from the divine in the form of signs and symbolism that just happens around us in our lives. So there's many ways that it can communicate, but even with that, you should get a feeling or a sense of what that means for you when you do see outer signs. So pay attention to that as well during this dark moon in particular. And trust that your higher self does know, because once again, with the symbolism of this card, it's a reflection of ourselves, right? Only you can really truly interpret the signs for yourself, because only you know yourself truly and most intimately. So you should trust your interpretation of things. You will naturally and instinctually interpret things in a way that resonates with you and that fits your life and that goes along with your higher good, your goals, the life that you're leading, the life that you're living. You will be the best one to interpret things for you. So trust that. And the final card that we have is the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is sort of being at an impasse, being at a point of pause, where once again we're being asked to contemplate things and figure things out. The Two of Swords can often mean stalemate. It can often mean blockage in the sense of not knowing how to advance or not knowing what you should do next. And so with these two cards, the World and the High Priestess, this is how you figure that out. This is how you end up knowing. Well, more so the High Priestess is how you figure out. But the World card was asking us to contemplate these things as well. I feel like the Two of Swords is just reiterating that we sort of are at this point where we need to make decisions. That's probably a better way to word it. You need to make decisions now. You need to figure things out. And the High Priestess energy is going to be how you do that. Maybe you've reached an endpoint in something in your life lately, or you're about to, and there's no further advancement on that course or on that path. And so you need to figure out what is the next path you're going to take in whatever area of your life that this will manifest in. These are general readings, so there'll be different particulars in how this energy manifests in each person's life who's watching this, but it is still, the same energy, and you'll know where it fits. So if you feel like you've reached an endpoint in something, if you feel like you're at a point of impasse with some aspect of your life, then you need to get in touch with the High Priestess, with your intuition, with your higher guidance, and figure out what is your next move going to be, and trust that and allow it to guide you. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do the Fairy Oracle card. Now I call out to the fairies and higher beings. Please come forward now and communicate with me through these cards. The truth, so that I may be guided for the highest good of all. Thank you, and so let it be. Please give us your guidance for this dark moon. Any messages that we need to know. any things that we need to do at this time for our highest good, greatest success and joy. Please give us your guidance now. Thank you, and so let it be. Okay, so we have, I'm gonna have to look this up in the book real quick because I can't really tell what that first word is, the name of this card. Number 45. Okay, it is what I thought. Titan or Titan, the Sylph. Try to get the camera to focus better. There you go. A beautiful blue fairy. The keywords are acute intellect, quickness, mental synthesis, and discernment. So very much in alignment with that Virgo energy that I was talking about at the beginning. Titan glitters and glimmers brightly. She scatters a special fairy dust that energizes the mind. However, energy is not everything, and the fairy dust that actually makes minds brighter, as well as more energized, is more rare, and she distributes it much less often. She is full of curiosity and wants to go everywhere, see everything, and have every question answered. Like the 2-year-old asking why, she wants to know all, even the things that by their very nature cannot be known to the conscious mind. Titan reminds us that ideas cannot be confined. They are wild and free. They move fast. Some ideas are more contagious than the flu, and they move quickly from head to head, sometimes illuminating and sometimes burning out with a flicker and a flash and a faint whiff of ash. The sylph is a fragment of the earth's soul in fairy form. In the fairy realms, light comes not from above, but from within. Like other fairies, sylphs light up the world around them, energizing all who come into contact with them with their quick fairy radiance. We humans also light up the world around us with our own auras. It is a pity that so few of us have learned the mental disciplines to be able to perceive that light. What Titan bestows is more ephemeral, but nevertheless of value. She is an awakener, one who startles us into seeing and thinking in new and exciting ways. Titan has inertialness, flight. Like thought, she is not bound by the rules of mass and momentum. Therefore, she can radically change direction without notice, more quickly than a hummingbird. Very much that Virgo energy that I was talking about. Analytical of things. But what Titan is telling us is more of that adaptability, figuring things out in new ways than we would have thought possible and things like that. The divinatory meaning of this card, what we see here is mental quickness, adaptability, and enthusiasm. Ideas and opinions abound. A few are brilliant, but others vary from mediocre to downright silly. Be selective. Mental and psychic abilities may be awakening. Independent thinking is in operation. New ideas and new versions of old ideas are creating an exciting, effervescent atmosphere. Avoid excess and extremes. Minds may change often as new ideas and new ways of seeing bubble to the surface. Out of conflict and confusion, resolved by goodwill and clear thinking, a new and better understanding may come. In this dark moon in particular, pay attention to insights, inspiration that you may be getting, ideas, messages. Once again, definition is almost reminding me of the Knight of Swords. Very flighty, mental energy, has the potential to be reckless in the sense that you will not analyze enough. You might rush things. So be careful with that. Discern what is and isn't, really something that you could work with. Once again, though, this is a follow-up to the High Priestess card. So we need to use our discernment. We need to use our intuition and trust in our own higher guidance. I love that this card does show up because it really does sort of just emphasize what I've already said in this reading. Just all of that mental energy and putting it to good use. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit distracted by the song that's playing. It's a bop. But Let me see if anything else comes to mind with this reading, but I think that's going to about do it. I mean, I guess, yeah, with the fairy card that came up, it did talk about sort of being a little bit more playful, being a little bit more enthusiastic, and sort of this message of having fun with things. That also is very good advice, because a lot of times we don't entertain things because we're too serious. So we end up sort of getting a little bit rigid and stuck in this sort of like serious mindset, and it can make us a little bit more rigid, like I said. But when we get a little bit more playful, it leads us into a little bit more of an open-minded energy, and in doing that, you can end up thinking outside the box. You could end up coming up with solutions that you wouldn't have before, and things like that. And also, a lot of times when you get your mind off of things and you're just having fun or relaxing, out of the blue, ideas will come to you. Maybe you're doing something completely unrelated from your serious concerns, right? You're doing something that's completely unrelated. You're just relaxing. You're just having fun. But something that you're doing ends up giving you an idea that relates back to something serious in your life that you can actually use for your better. So that is also very good advice that I feel is also coming through with this card. So that might be something you want to consider as well with this energy. But other than that, that seems to be, you know, the main messages with this reading. So hopefully this has helped you in some way. I hope that you have a lovely dark moon, new moon, and I hope that you are able to figure things out and find solutions with this energy and with this Mercury retrograde as well. And that's going to be all for this video. As always, until next time, hail to the witches, hail Hecate, hail to the fairies, and blessed be.